Hello, I'm doing a book review, and the book I want to review is American Vampire. Now, American Vampire is a graphic novel written by Scott Snyder, and it's also co-written by Stephen King, and it's illustrated by Rafael, I'm not sure how to say his last name, but that's his last name right there, but basically American Vampire is actually an ongoing comic book series, but this graphic novel is the first 5 issues of the comic book series all put together into one graphic novel. So since it's an ongoing comic book series, I assume that there are other graphic novels in this series, or at least there's going to be, but so far this is the only graphic novel I've actually seen of it. But Stephen King only co-wrote the first 5 issues of the series. After this, Scott Snyder basically writes the rest of the series by himself, but Scott Snyder is the one who basically created the series. You know, Stephen King only co-wrote this, but basically American Vampire basically has kind of a non-linear storyline. Basically it's 2 storylines in one. One storyline is set in 1925, and the other storyline is basically a flashback. So basically the one storyline in this book is set in the year 1925, and it follows a struggling actress named Pearl Jones, who, what happens is she gets invited to a party by a fairly famous actor, and what happens is when she gets invited to this party, it turns out that the actor who invited her there was actually a familiar for these vampires, and it turns out the person hosting this party was the producer of the film she was working on, and it turns out that person is actually a vampire. So what happens is this actress named Pearl Jones gets attacked by vampires, and they think they killed her, but what happens is the next day she gets found by 2 friends of hers wandering out in the desert, and she's barely alive, and what happens is one day, what happens is she's basically dying in the hospital, and what happens is as she's dying, this vampire named Skinner Sweet comes along and basically turns her into a vampire. But the thing with Skinner Sweet is, he's not a regular vampire. It turns out that Skinner Sweet actually has the ability to exist in the sunlight, and he actually gets his energy from light, and he's basically like a highly evolved version of a vampire. Like, he's basically a daywalker, and what happens is, since he turns this actress into a vampire as well, she basically has the same power that he has. Like, she's a daywalker, like she can walk in the sunlight, and what happens is, because of this, when the other vampires find out about this, they hate her because of this, because, they hate Skinner Sweet because he has, the ability to exist in the sunlight. But what happens is Pearl Jones, basically tries to get revenge on the vampires who tried to kill her. So that's one storyline in the book. Then throughout the book, there's also flashbacks to, the flashbacks start in the 1880s, but then they go all the way up to the early 1900s, and basically the flashbacks are telling the origins of this vampire named Skinner Sweet, and all the flashbacks are basically kind of like a vampire western in a way, and they're all telling the story of Skinner Sweet, which I don't want to give away, but his backstory is freaking awesome. This graphic novel, I thought was a badass graphic novel. I highly recommend this. Now Stephen King co-writes this. Basically, all the parts of the book which are set in the 1920s and follow Pearl Jones, those parts are written by Scott Snyder, but all the flashbacks telling Skinner Sweet's backstory, all those parts are written by Stephen King. I highly recommend this, not just if you're a Stephen King fan, but if you're a fan of graphic novels and if you're a fan of vampire stories, I definitely recommend this. Now Stephen King, like I said, he only co-writes this. Really, the series is really Scott Snyder's series. Like, Scott Snyder, he really created this series, and he's the one who basically continues on with the series, because, like I said, King only co-wrote the first 5 issues of the series, but, I haven't read the other comic books in the series. I've only read this graphic novel, but I do highly recommend this. So, yeah, that's my review on American Vampire, written by Scott Snyder and Stephen King, and illustrated by Rafael, like I said, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but, yeah, bye.